Chrissy Teigen announces that she recently realized that her miscarriage of 2 years ago was actually an abortion. She said she realized this in the wake of Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health, which overturned Roe v. Wade. Do you have a response to Chrissy Teigen?
She may want to characterize it as abortion in this political context, but she described it at the time as a miscarriage, and it certainly sounds like that was an accurate description.
No one like Ted Cruz to give his thoughts on your health care and whether or not you had an abortion or a miscarriage. Great mansplaining from him. Here's more from our expert, Ted Cruz.
Medical procedure in that context, it's not an abortion, and it is the law in all 50 states, and it should be the law in all 50 states that doctors can intervene to save the life of the mother, even if it means tragically losing the child. That there is nobody, even the most robust pro-life advocates, nobody argues that when the woman's life is in danger, that you can't take extraordinary medical steps to preserve the mother's life.
So here are the details with what went on with Chrissy Teigen. Actress Chrissy Teigen recently revealed that the miscarriage she suffered from 2 years ago was actually a medically induced abortion. She said it took her a long time to come to terms with the idea that she actually had a medically induced abortion. She credited husband John Legend with helping her understand the situation following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. But what it really seems like Ted Cruz is doing here is making it seem like things that are abortions are not, so people don't suddenly take the side of being against the abortion bans that the Republicans are pushing.
Yeah, so as always with the right wing, sleight of hand, right? Mm-hmm. So is it a miscarriage? Well, you could characterize it as a miscarriage because the baby was not viable, and if they had left it inside her body, eventually it would miscarry, right? But can you call it an abortion? Well, it's not, can you call it an abortion? It literally was an abortion. They did not wait for it to naturally miscarry. They did a medically necessary, medically induced abortion. That's not in question. It did not happen of its own accord. It was a medical procedure to extract the fetus from the body. That is 100% an abortion. Now, what Ted Cruz is doing is sleight of hand. No, we are now calling some abortions no longer abortions. We're calling them miscarriages, so that we could tell our most rabid base, don't worry, we got rid of all abortion. And in life of the mother, we barely care about it. And he's lying. A lot of the bills don't even have health of the mother. And in fact, we covered a story for you guys in Texas where they said, just keep it inside you because we're not sure. If we take it out, it could be called an abortion, and then we can go to prison. So just bleed out, like literally, okay? So it's his state, he's totally lying. So now he's saying, well, if we just say to our base, we got rid of all abortions, we oppress the living hell out of women, celebrate, right? But then he turns to the general voting audience and goes, oh no, don't worry, we just redefined abortion as not abortion. So now we're not doing abortions. I mean, abortions are okay. We do allow you to do it for in these circumstances. So which one is it, Ted? Jessica, other than the actual issue itself here, the other reason why this clip is interesting is because the Republicans are now in a post-truth world. They're like, nobody's gonna catch us. Mainstream media is barely gonna even note it. I'll just say two different things to two different audiences and get away with it.
Here's the thing, if we had a real Democratic Party that was strategic and cared about making a difference, what they would do is say, okay, Ted, because this isn't the first time Republicans have made a similar argument. We've had members of Congress on the floor of Congress saying things like, well, that wouldn't be an abortion. And so what Democrats should do is say, okay, let's codify this into law, the legal definition of a miscarriage and the legal definition of an abortion. And if the woman's life is in danger or the fetus is not viable, call it a miscarriage. Now it's not illegal. And now women, although we do have 15-week bans on abortion and women are losing their right to choose, that is a problem. At least now we're saving some more people's lives that will be lost thanks to the GOP's policies. I mean, seriously, it's not that hard to take what they're saying and figure out strategically what you need to do to respond for damage control when we have the rise of fascist power in the United States and people taking away women's rights. But instead, what are they doing? They're saying, give me $15, it's Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, Jessica. What they could do right now is they could propose a bill and call it the Ted Cruz bill nationwide. And Jessica framed it in one way. Hey, we could call them miscarriages because that's what Ted Cruz said. Or you could go the other way and say, well, Ted Cruz just said that every abortion that affects the life and health of the mother obviously should be legal in all 50 states. Great, then let's vote on it. And you know what's going to happen? Every Republican, including Ted Cruz, is going to vote against it. So just call their bluff. But Democrats are too busy collecting money. Jessica's 100% right. So they're not going to do the most obvious things. They don't really care.
We should take that quote and just put it on billboards all across Texas. I think that's a great idea. It does go against dozens of laws that the GOP has introduced, banning abortion with no exceptions, as we've talked about a little bit. But here's an example from Ted Cruz's state of Texas. In Texas, Attorney General Ken Paxton filed a lawsuit in July to block Biden administration guidance that requires doctors to perform abortions when they believe the procedure is needed to stabilize a mother in an emergency medical condition. Some more instances from anti-choice states that we've covered on the show previously. Look at this one. A woman carrying a fetus without a skull to seek abortion in another state following Louisiana ban. I remember this story. She went over or tried to go to Florida, but they have a 15-week ban there, and she had about 3 weeks to get over there. Just insane. A 10-year-old rape victim forced to travel from Ohio to Indiana for abortion. This one got a lot of national attention, but really disgusting what's already going on because of these policies.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.